If you're thinking about buying a home here in the Breckenridge area, there's a few realities nobody on YouTube talks about, and some of them surprise even seasoned mountain buyers. For those of you that are new here, I'm Christy Cotton. I actually moved from Hawaii to the Breckenridge area, which sounds like a big change, but both places are tourism-driven towns, and they share a lot of the same little inconveniences that come with resort living. So today, I'm gonna share 7 things you need to be able to handle before making the move or buying here. And if you can't, this might not be the place for you. And just to be clear, none of these are deal breakers. In fact, a lot of people actually love these quirks once they understand them. But if you're thinking about buying here, especially if you're coming from Denver or out of state, these are things worth knowing ahead of time. So first, let's talk about something that surprises a lot of people when they actually spend time here. In many neighborhoods, a large percentage of the homes are second homes or short-term rentals. In fact, only about 40% of the homes here in Summit County are occupied full-time by year-round residents, which means, depending on the time of year, entire streets can feel quiet, sometimes really quiet. You might walk through a neighborhood in October or early November and notice something a little unusual. Lights are off, driveways are empty, there's no cars, no people walking dogs, blinds are all pulled down. And that's not because anything's wrong, it's simply because many owners are here only part of the year. During holidays, powder weeks, and peak summer months, the neighborhood can feel lively again. But during slower periods, it can almost feel like half the houses are empty, mainly because they are. So for some buyers, that's actually appealing because it feels peaceful and private. But if you're expecting a neighborhood where people are always outside chatting and neighbors or kids are out playing in the street, certain neighborhoods can feel very different depending on the season. Another thing that surprises people about ski towns has to do with the social scene. Breckenridge has a very transient population. A lot of people move here for a ski season, a couple of years, or just a lifestyle chapter, then eventually move somewhere else. Locals joke about it. They say people come for the winter and stay for the summer. But many eventually move on. Because of that, the community here is constantly evolving. You'll meet some incredible people, great neighbors, coworkers, people that you'll meet skiing or biking, but sometimes those friendships can be temporary simply because people move on to their next adventure. And honestly, when I first moved here from Hawaii, I noticed that pretty quickly. But over time, I realized something important about this area. There's also some really great community groups here where people are just deeply rooted and actively engaged year-round. Through those groups, I've met some incredibly fun people who ski together, we mountain bike together, volunteer together. It really makes this area feel like home, and that's actually one of the things I just love about living here. Once you find those circles, the town starts to feel a lot less like a vacation destination and much more like a real community. And if you're thinking about buying here and you want to plug into the town a little faster, I'd be happy to share some of those groups with you. They are such a great way to meet people and feel connected instead of just feeling like a visitor. So feel free, give me a call. I'd be happy to fill you in. Now this next one surprises almost everyone the first year they own here. Visitors often assume that because Breckenridge is a major resort town, everything is open all the time. But the reality is the town has very distinct seasons. And during what locals call mud season, things slow down dramatically. Mud season typically happens late April through early June, and again in late October into mid-November. Now during those periods, you'll notice things like restaurants closing temporarily, shops reducing their hours, some businesses shutting down for renovations or staff breaks. And even during normal months, restaurant hours can sometimes be unpredictable because staffing can be challenging in mountain towns. So locals often joke that you need a Plan B restaurant. You might drive into town planning to eat somewhere and then discover it's closed that day, which is really a huge bummer. That's happened to me so many times. For second homeowners who mostly visit during peak ski season or summer, this can be really surprising at first, but many locals actually love shoulder season. The town gets quieter, trails are empty, and Breckenridge briefly feels more like a small mountain town again. Now, let's talk about something that really surprises a lot of people: the first full summer that they spent here. Most people picture Breckenridge summers as peaceful mountain living, and in so many ways they are. But summer is also construction season. Because winter shuts down most building activity, contractors have a limited window, usually between May and October, to complete projects. That means during summer, you'll see new homes being built, major remodels, road work and more road work, utility work. It's not unusual for entire neighborhoods to have multiple construction projects happening at the same time. Now, locals are used to it, but for new owners, the amount of activity during summer can be pretty surprising. And one quick insider tip here: if you're planning to spend time in Breckenridge this summer, especially if you typically come in through Frisco off I-70, there's actually a pretty major construction project getting ready to start that will definitely affect traffic heading into Breckenridge. Now, most visitors will not know this until they're sitting in it. And lucky me, I actually live right near where the project is going to be happening. So I'll probably know the ins and outs of it better than most people once it gets going. So if you want the inside scoop on what's coming and the easiest ways to avoid it, you definitely want to give me a call. My contact info is in the description below. Now, this next one sounds small, but almost every homeowner notices it right away. In almost all of Summit County neighborhoods, mail is not delivered directly to your house. In Breckenridge and in areas like Blue River, Peak 7, and Frisco, for example, USPS home delivery, it simply just doesn't exist. Instead, you're required to get a P.O. box at the main post office or use a mailbox cluster in order to receive your mail. Then there's what we call the last mile struggle. When you order something online, the retailer might ship it via UPS or FedEx, in which case you'd naturally put your physical address. But to save money, those carriers often use services like SurePost, where they bring the package up to the mountains and then they hand it off to the local USPS for that final stretch of delivery. So here's where the problem happens. Remember, USPS doesn't deliver to your house. So if the package is addressed to your street address instead of your P.O. box, the post office flags it as undeliverable and sends it right back down to a warehouse in Denver. So it can turn into this strange loop where packages just seem to bounce around the system. I can't even tell you how many times this has happened to me when I first moved here. And to avoid it, locals end up using a little address formatting hack when ordering online. And you put both your physical address and your P.O. box on the same line so the delivery system routes it correctly. But here's the catch. Sometimes online checkout forms won't allow you to do that. So over time, I've learned another trick that works almost every time. So if you want to know that little hack to make sure that your packages actually show up where they're supposed to be, feel free and reach out to me. I am happy to share it with you. The mail delivery here is definitely one of those little mountain lifestyle adjustments you just need to get used to. Okay, now let's talk about something everyone who lives in Summit County eventually learns. Grocery shopping here doesn't always work the way people expect. After a busy weekend in the mountains, especially if it's been a holiday weekend or during spring break, don't expect to find everything you're looking for at the local grocery stores if you're shopping on a Monday. A lot of times the shelves are pretty bare after the flood of visitors that come up for the weekend. Thousands of people roll into town, stock up on groceries for their rentals, and by Sunday night, the stores can be pretty picked over. Most stores are just getting their deliveries on Monday, and it usually takes time before the shelves are fully stocked again. And that's if there's no shutdowns on I-70. So locals learn pretty quickly that it's best to plan ahead and stay stocked up so you don't suddenly need something that you just simply can't find. For example, I went to 4 different stores the other day. 4. Just trying to find a pair of hand warmers during peak spring break. I did eventually find them, but it definitely turned into a bit of a Summit County scavenger hunt, and honestly, it's pretty normal here. A lot of locals end up running errands across multiple towns, Breckenridge, Frisco, Silverthorne, just to find what you need, especially during peak season. Now, this last one is something a lot of people really underestimate until they spend their first winter driving here in the mountains: snow tires. Winter here can be intense with heavy snowfall and icy road conditions, and that can mean driving in snow for a good portion of the year. Proper tires really matter, and if you're living in the mountains, snow tires provide significantly better traction and handling on snowy, icy roads. They have deeper tread patterns and softer rubber compound that regular tires just don't have. Now, snow tires can also improve your braking distance and acceleration and just overall control, which makes winter driving so much safer and a lot less stressful. And it's not just about preference. It's also tied to Colorado law. Colorado's traction law is in effect on I-70 from September 1st through May 31st, and vehicles traveling that stretch of freeway are required to have either snow tires with a mud and snow designation or 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive capability. So snow tires are really an essential part of mountain living, not just for your safety, but for everyone else on the road as well. But here's something that even surprised me recently. If you're renting a car in the mountains, don't just assume that it automatically comes equipped with snow tires or even meets traction law requirements for that matter. You actually really need to be proactive and ask. I recently had to rent a car in Silverthorne, and the vehicle they were going to give me was a 2-wheel drive without snow tires that wasn't even traction law compliant. And this is in the middle of winter, which basically meant I couldn't even drive home legally on I-70 with that car. And this was a rental car company here in the mountains. So I ended up having to revise my reservation and upgrade to an all-wheel drive just to make sure that I could get home safely. So if you're coming up to visit or planning longer stays here in the winter, just definitely don't assume the rental car will be equipped for mountain conditions. It's one of those small details that can make a huge difference once winter weather hits. Now, with that said, these things don't make Breckenridge a bad place to live or own property. In fact, for a lot of people, these quirks are exactly what make the town unique. But they are real parts of life here that many buyers don't hear about until after they purchase. And understanding them ahead of time can help you make better decisions about where you want to buy, what neighborhood fits your lifestyle, how you plan to use your home. Because when Breckenridge or any of the nearby towns fits your lifestyle, it can be such an incredible place to own a home. So if this video was helpful, check out this one right here.